Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. We have a tremendous wrestling card for you today here on All-Star Championship Wrestling, which, of course, features the world's greatest wrestlers.
My little itty-bitty bruiser buddies.
United States heavyweight champion, Bobo Brazil. The world's heavyweight champion from the AWA, Nick Bockwinkel.
The Midwest supporting, bruiser loving, positivity spreading, world's most dangerous podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty as he supports and promotes Midwest pro wrestling. Keep on growing with the Midwest Express. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
And welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode, albeit a couple days late. I know. Don't get on me too hard about it. I do understand that it's a couple days late, but we have had some very exciting happenings here in the world of the Dave Dynasty Show. As this week we debuted our new daily feature on this day. It's a very cool thing. A short clip that will come out every morning. Bright and early, so it'll be waiting for you however you listen to this podcast, whatever platform, it'll be waiting for you every morning. And it'll just be a few minutes that gives you some highlights and some snippets from Midwest pro wrestling history. There'll be some dates in there, some shows, some matches, title changes, birthdays, just a little bit, just a few minutes every day to get you reminiscing on how rich and important the history of Midwest pro wrestling is. So I hope you are enjoying that. The feedback has been phenomenal. The listenership has been phenomenal. It's been really, really well received. So I hope you're enjoying it. But we rolled that out this week. And I guess, putting the work in on that, it kind of delayed this a couple days. But here it is. This is our normal weekly episode of the Dave Dynasty Show. We got a great guest today. We got Fayden, a young sensation here in the Midwest. He's a great guy to see. So if you see a show that he's on, get out there and see him. But where you can see me in the upcoming, I only have a couple of things coming up that as of right now I'm planning on. May 11th in Portland, Indiana, I will be there for DCCW. As we do the live streaming and commentating there, it'll be a great show. It's headlined by Rikishi. Madman Fulton will be there. Sexy Sean Casey. It's going to be a great show. So make sure you're there for that. And then June 8th and 9th, I'll be in Milwaukee for Crusher Fest. You can go to crusherfest.com. for more information. That will be the unveiling of the Crusher statue there in Milwaukee. So make sure you are there. As always, you can go to powerslam.tv. They have a phenomenal, over 100 independent wrestling organizations, over 4,000 hours of content. You can sign up there and get a month free by using the code Dynasty. So go check. What do you have to lose? You can go check it out for a month. I guarantee you'll be hooked. There's always new stuff being added on there. Things to watch. So make sure you do that and try it out for a month. And see what you think. If you got anything you need from me, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm on social media. Go to davedynasty.com. Get a hold of me. If you need some graphic work, I do flyers and such. If you want me at your event, in whatever capacity it is, or if you just want us to help you plug and partner with you, maybe to give tickets out or whatever it may be, get a hold of us. Just a lot of cool happenings in Midwest wrestling and how integrated the Midwest wrestling scene is now becoming into the national scene. Just announced that at the next StarCast that's happening in May that Mance Warner is going to be there. It's so cool to see how he grew and developed. If you go back in our archives, in our early episodes for the first probably close to a year, maybe a year that we did the show, Mance was on here every week doing Warner's Wisdom, and go back. I highly urge you to go back and listen to these clips of him. And you can see the development of Mance Warner, the growth of Mance Warner to where he is now, right here on our show. So go back in the archives, wherever you're listening to this, and listen to it. I highly advise you. It's entertaining stuff. Very great. We hated to lose Mance. Right? He just flat out got too busy, right? He's got too many bookings. He's traveling too much. He just can't do it anymore. But Mance is still a good friend of the show. But like I said, go back and listen to some of that stuff. It's very, very cool. But it is phenomenal to see this stuff as it develops and see the Midwest wrestling scene really on fire. You watch MLW every week, which, again, I highly advise you to do. It's a great, great show, only enhanced and made better by the fact that Jim Cornette now does commentary on it. And you see guys like Myron Reed on there, who we had on the show early on and stuff. And if you turn on WWE, or NXT, you see Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and Ruby Riott. And these guys are from the Midwest. It's so cool to see what we've all said for a long time, right? The Midwest has some great professional wrestling, a very, very, very budding independent scene, a lot of talent in this area. And here at the Dave Dynasty Show, we like to support that, but we also like to turn eyes on the fact that how deep and rich the history is, and it often gets overlooked with some of the other territories. So that's what it's all about, and that is what the Daily On This Day segment does, is help get some eyes on that, get some ears on that. So again, it's available however you listen to this podcast. So whichever means you subscribe, or whether you watch us or listen to the clips on YouTube, they're all there. It's just in the same feed as the regular show every morning, just a short little clip. But make sure you're sharing those to spread the word and tell people, hey, listen to this, because that is what it's all about. So we're going to take a little break here. Little details on how you can find us on social media and stuff coming up here. We'll fill you in on all that. And when we come on the end of that, we will have that interview with Kai Fayden. So stick around. Hey, make sure you visit DaveDynasty.com. That is your central hub for everything within the world of the Dave Dynasty Show. From there, you can find links to follow us on all of our social media accounts. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube, which you will want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have lots of classic wrestling, every episode of the podcast, and other exclusive features there. While you're at DaveDynasty.com, check out the links to help financially support the show. That is how we keep this free every week. You can go to ProWrestlingTees.com/The Dave Dynasty and buy a shirt to help us out. PayPal.me/The Dave Dynasty to make a one-time financial contribution. Patreon.com/The Dave Dynasty to make ongoing monthly contributions. Or you can click our affiliate links for Amazon.com and HighSpots.com. No additional charge to you, but it helps us out. Thank you for your support, and check out DaveDynasty.com to complete your experience with the Dave Dynasty Show.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I'm your co-host, Ike Isaacs, and today we are joined by the Glitch, Kai Fayden. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Doing fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on here, Kai, but we're going to go ahead and jump right into this wonderful interview. So first question, as always, for our guests, where are you from?
So I'm actually from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Moved here to Greenwood, Indiana, about a year ago now, as of the 1st of
Wow. So Tulsa, and then you said you moved to Greenwood, right?
Yeah.
So what prompted that change, if you don't mind me asking?
The Oklahoma scene isn't really vast, or when it comes to comes to wrestling. I actually had a friend of mine, Trip Cassidy. He for about 5 years now, and wrestling scene in Oklahoma just wasn't really there aren't a whole lot of opportunities there. So, and you recommended that I move up here to Indiana, and it's been a lot better just because there's a lot of opportunities and it's easy to travel around the country. So it's just it was a great. I need it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I imagine that the wrestling scene might be a little dry out that area. But
yeah,
so then my
pretty
understanding, right. So then, is that also where you grew up? Then is that where you grew up over in that area?
For most of my childhood, I've lived around the United States for most of my childhood. I've lived I've lived in Alaska. I was born in Oklahoma, but my family moved a lot. But we went back to Oklahoma and settled down around the time that I was 13. So for the most part, yeah, but I've lived in several other states.
Okay, so you have definitely a little bit of a worldly vibe where you kind of get to travel around and stuff, and probably was a little stressful as a child, having to go to different places and make new friends and stuff. But I'm talking to you today, so you're a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
At what point in your did you ever have in your childhood, I should say, were you a fan of wrestling? Was it something that was proud for you, or did that come later in your life?
So it actually came a little bit later. I discovered professional wrestling about the time that I was 14. And whenever I did, that was kind of the point. Like after watching it for a little while, because I think the first episode, what got me into wrestling was I saw Batista versus Undertaker in a steel cage match. It was the one where they tied, and then sometime after that, I ended up watching Monday Night Raw, and I just got hooked on it from there. Probably about another 6 months before I just decided this is what I want to do.
Right. And then, so then obviously, you watch wrestling, you get the bug, or you get that hook that you're just like, man, I got to do this. So, at what point did you say, I want to be a professional wrestler? And at what point did you say, I'm going to get trained?
So, like I said, it was about 6 months after I first started watching Raw. I kept with Raw and SmackDown and the revamped ECW when that was around, because that was around the time frame that it was popular. It only lasted like a year or two after that, though. But it was pretty much after that I just decided that that's where I wanted to do it. When I was 16, I actually came across a Christian wrestling federation, and that was around the period of my time when I became religious. So I was like, this is a sign from God kind of thing. And while it was all kind of, it was backyard, because Oklahoma has a boxing commission, and the boxing commission actually handles professional wrestling as well, which is not a thing in most other states.
Right.
But so even though we were wrestling, we weren't like properly trained or anything, and we weren't even sanctioned by the boxing commission or anything like that. But it was good because even though we had no idea what we were doing, the wrestling scene was small enough in Oklahoma. It attracted several other licensed wrestlers to come and check us out. And so through that, we ended up finding people who actually trained, the majority of us who actually continued wanting to stick it out and actually train and go through the process of taking our lumps and really learning what it meant to actually be a wrestler. And a lot of the guys in our group were not actually prepared to do that. I think out of the original group, I'm the only one still, and there were 20 of us when we started.
Wow.
But yeah, that was kind of our introduction. We had people who trained us, and then I just wrestled in Oklahoma exclusively for 5 years. But 2015, I actually went and moved to Cleveland, Ohio for about half a year or two. I'm training with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae in the AIW school before moving back to Oklahoma.
Oh, wow. So I guess your training, I guess, was kind of a hodgepodge. You had that initial jolt into wrestling where it was kind of just, like you said, kind of the backyard stuff, and then you had some people coming around that kind of showed you what it was really about, and then after that, like you said, you went to Cleveland for that, which I'm sure that was incredible.
Oh yeah, it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess because this next question, we asked this question, but in your situation, you may have multiple first matches. Because usually we'll say, what was your first match? But I would assume that your first match when you were wrestling in Oklahoma may be different than your first match after you had more official training.
Yeah.
So I guess then my question would be, what would you consider to be your first match?
That's like you said, that's kind of difficult because there are multiple answers to that. I mean, if we want to talk about the match that I kind of consider really my first match, while it wasn't my first match, so to speak, it was definitely because I've been wrestling I'd been doing the backyard stuff for 2 years. We had stopped that. We had gotten licensed. And I was still in the ring, but I wasn't really doing a whole lot of active competition. More of it was just like most of the time they would put me in a mask and I'd just have older guys beat the hell out of me and stuff. So
Right.
just, job out and stuff. I was 110 pounds generously when I started. And a lot of places, even the people who were initially training didn't really want to give me a shot because of my size. Because I was like 5'4", 110 pounds. So I was not really taken seriously at all, even by the people who trained me. And the people who initially trained me and taught us what to do really only trained me with the intention of putting me under a mask and jobbing me out and then having the rest of the show. Which, once again, that was fine. I definitely needed it at that period of time. But through all that, we met one of the guys who I really credit as being my first real trainer, because he taught me more than just, take your lickings, take bumps. He actually taught me how to, have matches, structure a match, and actually do something that looked like offense for me at that period of time. And he gave me my first real shot after I had worked with him for about 3 months, because I was almost at a point where I was very frustrated, because I could definitely tell that the other people who were training me really didn't have any intention of me learn more than what I was and what they had taught me. And so he was like, all right, well, I'm going to give you an opportunity. You're actually going to be facing our heavyweight champion of our company. But the whole thing was that he wanted to see what I could do in the ring, see like what I could bring to the table, as well as see if I could one of the best people that they had to offer. He beat the hell out of me, but it was kind of one of those initiations of like, if I can, take it and still, push through and have a match, he would see what he could do with me from then on. And we did. And after that, he really took interest in training me and helped me get to where I am today. So I really kind of consider that my first match, just because I don't think if I would have had that match, I would have ended up sticking around for the time that I have.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think that's kind of like you have a very unique perspective, having started out in kind of that backyard mentality to evolving into more of a professional mentality. So definitely have a very unique perspective on the term first match. So
yeah, like I've had several,
right?
Unfortunately,
right. No, hey, everybody has their own paths, as I like to say. So your path just went a little different there. But I guess along those same lines, you've gotten to experience independent wrestling in multiple places. So, in your opinion, what is the best and worst part of being in independent wrestling?
Best part is the creative freedom, and just being able to travel and make the friends that you do. Like, it's no secret that to anybody who really knows me that really one of my end games, if at all possible, is to try and see if I can end up in WWE. That's just what I want to be. But I also know that there's a lot of things that I like doing, in a lot of ways that I like to structure things and stuff that I wouldn't be able to do if I went there. And I always have fun just being able to try and have unique matches, different from anything that people are going to see on the card, and try to entertain people in my own way. And plus, I've made a lot of friends who are always open to trying fun things and seeing what we can do to be different in our matches. And I guess I guess the worst part of independent wrestling, which I guess is just kind of wrestling in general, sometimes is just egos. I used to have a big one for not having done anything in Oklahoma. And like my mindset on it was just trying to be a big fish in a small pond, just because it was frustrating to me. Not so much for anything that I had done, as much as it was like the things that I was trying to do and the places I was trying to go. Whereas Oklahoma is just kind of its own little area. A lot of people don't travel out of Oklahoma. They don't really ever travel a lot to bring names or a lot of people into Oklahoma. So it was one of those things that a lot of times I felt like I was trying to do more and really try to see how far I could take it, when a lot of other people in the state didn't see it that way. And well, there's a lot of people who like, it's anywhere you go. There's a lot of people who are just kind of very very egotistical for the things that they have and haven't done.
Right.
Especially in Oklahoma, and I used to be that way, and I'm very happy that I moved here because it's a good eye-opening experience that there's a lot more than just where I was, and that helps keep me humble. So that would just be the thing that makes me, that I think is the worst part about it, is we're all just people trying to work together to make it to our end goals. You know, I just want to see everybody work together and succeed.
Right. Absolutely. And unfortunately, more often than not, that not a lot of people have that mentality in this business, but I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I will say, like, being in Indiana, it's a lot better. A lot more people don't seem to have their as much though.
Right. Right. They're not sitting around waiting for you just to puff up their ego. They're just like, all right, let's do some work and let's get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a little bit, I guess, go down a different path, because we've talked a lot about your introduction into wrestling you've done up to this point. We talked a little bit about kind of your routine and all of that. So something else that I've been curious about, because like I said when I introduced you, you go by the Glitch. Tell us a little bit about the meaning behind that.
So the Glitch is actually whenever I stumbled upon that it was just kind of something that I felt encapsulated me as a person to a T. Because it came across through a conversation that I was having with an ex-girlfriend of mine, where I was talking to her about the movie Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
I'm a Disney fan. I'm a big video game fan. So that was something that I saw that was very dear to my heart. And I was trying to convince her to watch it. She's not a big movie person. She wasn't a big video game person or anything like that. So trying to talk to her to try and convince her to go see that movie was a bit of a task. But I was kind of explaining the plot to her, and I was talking about the character Vanellope, who in the movie is a video game character who is a Glitch. And when I started talking about that character, her cousin was in the room, and her cousin just randomly popped up, and she was like, "Hi, if life were a video game, bitch." And it was just kind of one of those things that I was like, there's so much truth to that. Because like, it's always, when I started in wrestling, I was the person in our group who was never supposed to make it. I was I was a 110-pound, 5'3" kid who just wanted to be a wrestler in a business that, especially in Oklahoma, is very predominantly run by old school guys. And there weren't a lot of people in the state at that time who had the business that I did who actually wanted to be a wrestler. And yet, out of my group of people, I stuck it out. I'm still doing it. I'd like to think that I have a drive to go a lot further than a lot of people ever thought that I would. So I always kind of like look at it as like, I was never supposed to be where I am, and yet I'm still pushing along. Here I am. Plus, I'm always like, I'm very technical. I'm very I ran a video game. Well, now I'm doing the whole cyberpunk thing, so it all just kind of it all works out, and it's very unique at the end of the day.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's funny. First of all, I love the movie Wreck-It Ralph. It's one of my favorite, I guess, animation films. But it is good, and I think it's a very creative take on it too, especially for wrestling and everything else. Because it's a good character, though. I gotta say, I do like that. So I guess also kind of in relation to where you're at currently, because obviously you moved around a little bit, but now you've kind of taken up posts here in Indiana. So with wrestling and you being in wrestling for a little bit now, what would you say is the top highlight of your career right now?
Top highlight of my career currently is I wouldn't say that I pinpoint anything in particular. Me making the move to Indiana was probably one of the big ones. Mostly just because I was at a very big low right before I moved here. At the end of 2017, that I hadn't made a move anywhere else after Ohio, which would have been the smart option. At the time I was engaged, and I eventually married to a woman who really wanted us to settle down in Oklahoma. I had met her in Oklahoma, and she moved with me to Ohio to train with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae and everything. And we moved. Once we moved back, we settled down, got married. We were planning on having a kid, and pretty much one of the big reasons we did move is that we were just trying to start a happy little life together. And we ended up trying to have a kid. We were unsuccessful. We ended up losing our kid, which kind of caused a friction in our marriage that caused us to end up getting a divorce. I ended up losing my home and living with a friend. It was like the only thing that I really felt was keeping me grounded in that period of time was professional wrestling. And but it was like Oklahoma wrestling in general was just kind of making me miserable because I wasn't having fun. It was like my one escape that I really had from wrestling in that period of time, or the one escape that I had at that period of time was wrestling wasn't making me happy. And so I almost quit just because I was like, I need to get a handle on things. I need to get a handle on my life and figure out, what I really want to do. And like I said, I think Tripp, he was there for me through it all. And he was really the one who kind of reached out and was like, hey, you need to make the move. He was like, not even for wrestling, like not even, because you're in a very stressful situation. He's like, I honestly think that you just need to change the scenery because everything about where you're at in your life right now is stressing you out and is making you completely miserable. And I agreed with him, but I also kept kind of pushing it off. And ultimately, I just kind of said, screw it, you're right, and ended up moving a lot sooner than I thought I was going to. And I took some time away from wrestling after I moved initially just because I needed the space from everything to clear my head. But once I came back, it was really good. I had a clear head that I hadn't had for the first time in years. I was re-energized. I let my body to heal for the first time in years. So I reinvigorated and the hunger that I hadn't had in so long. So I can make for the part. I'm always constantly trying to stand now, trying to as I can, and I see like a body of work that I'm able to put with people in their hand when I have to be able to add more than ever before. So
right. Well, yeah. so first, I'm happy. But I'm very much.
I complain.
Right.
It put me in one of the best positions of my life, so I can't complain. At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason.
It's very true. I definitely abide by that philosophy. But so I guess to take this in a slightly different direction, because we've kind of established where you're at now and where you're at now in wrestling. So with everything put together, where all do you currently work? Do you have like a home promotion that you hang around, or what are some places that you like to work regularly?
So as it stands, I really consider WCWO and Fight or Die as two of my home promotions, just because they're two of the places that really just immediately and unbiasedly gave me a shot. And after taking, not having any idea who I was, just a kid who moved here from the state, only having to go off the word of a few people, never having seen me work, and they very quickly became family to me. So I consider Fight or Die and WCWO two of my main home promotions. The one that I also consider home promotion was Punk Pro Wrestling out of Florida, for very much the same reason. Tripp was really was instrumental in into all three of them. And all three of them are everybody there to me is like family. They're one of my favorite platforms to use for wrestling. in terms of I've more actually like Grindhouse, Pro Wrestling Freedom, Paradigm, stuff like that. But there are a lot of places I want to go. It's just asking us. It's not even so much of like where do I want to work as much as like where I work. It's where that I could.
Right, absolutely, and that's one of the best things about wrestling is so I guess
I mean, like that's one of the things I want to make about from almost quitting wrestling to being entirely to expand working in several London states, all in the span of a year, which was more than I ever done. So I'm always anywhere that'll have me.
Right, absolutely.
And pro wrestling offers me that opportunity.
No, yeah, quite a few people, and that's a lot of credit that for being able to see parts of the world, parts of the United States that they never thought that they would see. Wrestling will take you pretty much anywhere if you let it, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess also kind of on the same talk of where you wrestle and who you wrestle. Something that I've actually seen, and we actually talked to another great wrestler. His name's Vinny Vichetti. He was actually on the show last week, and he had mentioned that you guys had a couple of matches together, and actually more recently, about a weekend ago, you guys fought it out at CCW. So a bit of a rivalry has kind of developed between the two of you. Tell us a little.
I mean, Vinny's got a big mouth. Like that's the first foremost of it is Vinny doesn't know when to shut the hell up, and he has been trying to call out a bunch of young talent in WCWO and for GCCW, and I'm not one to back on from a fight, especially if you think you back up your. He's fought 2 times now, and both times he's won. But I record every match in both. First time he nailed me in the back, I believe, and second time he gave me a 6 chain when the ref was so thing too. He both did both. So I think I'm going to take my opportunity to go and start taking one of those belts away from him. See if he can. Let's see if he can keep it now that I know some of his tactics on how he's fitting into that.
That's absolutely true. And I do recall the match from DC's call. Definitely he used some sort of weapon, but that, like you said,
it's really funny because he gets on Facebook and messages on my phone complaining every single day about how Roma believes on him that he never had left on him before. Apparently, in HCW, he's threatening to send me the medical bill because apparently I broke his hand with one of my kicks. So I get the opportunity to take the territorial buff off anytime I want.
Oh, and then that'll be a good match too. So I guess we'll just have to keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for Fayden and Vinny Vichetti 3.0 match. There you go.
On the line.
That would be a good one. That would be a good. Vinny would have to fight a little harder because he's got a little extra on the line here, other than his pride is.
Yeah, let's see if he can do it without bringing his body to the ring. Pay somebody else off.
I've heard quite a bit about that. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But so I guess change directions just a little bit because we've definitely talked a lot about basically I guess you could say the road that you've traveled so far. Starting local. But one thing we like to always talk about with people is we know who your in-ring person is. Got to know you a little bit along your path here. But the way I like that's just kind of fun is have outside ring. I know you mentioned earlier kind of into video games and movies and technology, but what else do you like to do other than wrestle, of course?
Well, you hit the nail pretty much on the head there. I'm an avid video game. When I get time, I like going to the gym, staying in shape. One of my favorite things to do, phenomenal. And I have 4 adorable fur babies, 2 cats and 2 dogs, and I really spend time at home with all of them, watching TV, playing video games, and that's just how I like to spend my life.
Absolutely. So, video game wise, because every time somebody mentions it, I have to ask, because I am also an avid video gamer, if you will. But what kind of games do you play, or what console do you play?
Mainly PS4 right now, just because that's what I currently. I'm a very deep in action RPG. But I'll play pretty much anything. I like shooters. The only kind of game I really don't enjoy are just driving games. Just can't get into them. But yeah, no, action RPGs are my thing. Just anything that's at least that I have 2 Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, action RPG.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've tried Dark Souls. Not gonna lie, it's fun, but man, it takes up so much time. Such a lengthy game.
I love it. It's so good there.
It is good.
But it's not. You don't get the luxury of just being able to switch the difficulty. You have to figure out, like, my tactics aren't working. What's going to work to win this game? So
right.
Makes you think. It actually puts you on your toes. I love that.
It does. It absolutely does. And personally, and I always have to mention this whenever anybody's like, "Oh, I love video games," I always have to say it. My all-time favorite video game to this day is Resident Evil. It's survivor horror. Love it. And for anybody who's out there who's never played Resident Evil, you're missing out. But those are the games those are the games I like to play. But I honestly, Souls, it almost has like a horror aspect to it because some of those monsters in that game are just absolute nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I also love the Resident Evil series too as well. So I mean, those two games that really like I remember playing from watching my mom's friends play from an early age. Was Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy, and it's one of those things is like, well, that makes perfect sense as to I love games like Dark Souls.
Right. It's literally a combination of the two. And Final Fantasy VII is getting a remake. I assume you'll be playing that.
Oh, of course. Like, there aren't a whole lot of games that I'm just that I'm very gung ho, because a lot of games nowadays are disappointing. Yeah. Most of them are just like the same kind of game, just with a slightly tweaked theme. So there isn't a whole lot of originality in anything coming out anymore. But so I don't really go on my way to try and buy and play a lot of games. But the three exceptions to those have been Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2, which I just haven't been able to get my hands on yet, and the remake of Final Fantasy. And I've already told Holly, I told her it for Kingdom Hearts 3, and I told her it's going to be the case when I get Resident Evil 7 and Kingdom Hearts 3 that when I get those games, she's just going to have to accept that I'm not hers for a month. Like, all my spare time is going into those games so I can be knocked out of the way.
Right. Yeah, that's what I told my fiance too about Resident Evil 2 when I got that game. I was just like, look, sorry about you. I have to sit down. I got to play this game, and I cannot stop. I will not stop. Oh, gosh. So enough about video game talk, because apparently this is a wrestling podcast, according to Dave. No kidding. Boo, no. So I guess on kind of a slightly different note, with all things, wrestling and life as well, it's good to have goals. So we're almost halfway through 2019, which is insane. But what are your goals for the rest of 2019? What can we expect to see from Kai?
My goals are really just getting back in shape is a big one for me. I'm gotten a little chubby and skinny in the arms, much less so than I wanted to be. So getting back into shape is a big one. Seeing where I can go and wrestling for the rest of the year. Really, it's 2020 that I really want to start trying to do something that I don't think has been done. I need to kind of start branching out, making connections for it. But the year 2020, I want to try and see if I can wrestle in all 50 states in 1 year. To my knowledge, it hasn't been done. I don't know how many people have tried to shoot for that goal, but I am specifically trying to make 2020 a year where I wrestle in all 50 states within the span of a year.
So that'll be interesting because there are 52 weeks in a year, and if you have, I guess you
can knock out, like, on a good weekend, you can knock out 2 to 3 states. So it's not really, I think it's completely doable. The question and the pressing matter of it all is just making the right connections and seeing about getting something set up and squared away for all of the weekends and stuff for the year. So I think that's the more difficult part.
Right. I would definitely say that. I mean, like you said, you could probably go up to New York and knock out Rhode Island and Vermont and all those next to New York probably, in one weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is an ambitious goal, but I would love to see that. So I guess as one final parting note, because I know I want to keep track on you. I'm going to see if you can do that in 2020. Obviously, I don't know, 8 months left in the year, so. But in 2020, we're going to see Kai Fayden go to all 50 states, hopefully. But do you have any social medias that you can throw out there for people to follow you and see what you're up to?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook. You can send me a friend request, but I'll be realistic. More than likely, I won't add you just because I've added too many people at one point, and I don't know half of them. And so I get flooded with messages that I don't, or things in my quickly know you. I probably won't see it, and there's already a bunch of people that kind of got by that I might delete. So if I do know you, you can always shoot a message, and I'll add. But Facebook has this wonderful feature where it has a setting now. So even if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you can follow me. You can. I am at Kai Fayden, and on Twitter at Kai Fayden, and I am much more active than I am on Facebook.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be the case these days. I mean, Facebook's kind of it's a dime. Instagram will be the future.
I don't enjoy using it anymore.
No. Yeah, I don't either. Only reason I go on there is to, I don't know, follow up on drama, really. So people are up these days.
Anyway, I want to follow up with that too, though. Like, if I delete you and I've already added you, it's not because, you've done wrong or that I hate any of my fans. I love my fans. I also just want to keep, even though as I use Facebook for mostly my platform on promoting a lot of the wrestling that I do, I try to keep my interactions very personal and to a very for friends. So it's nothing personal. It's just that. But you can always shoot me messages even if I'm not friends with you. Some of my stuff, like me. All the stuff is completely open to hit me up and contact me. It's just I'm trying to keep what I'm seeing on my Facebook very, very much more what I want to see, not so much politics, religion, all the stuff that starts and causes fights, because I'm not about that.
Right. Yeah, that's usually what it's about. Generally speaking.
Just wanted to clear that up a little bit.
Right, so basically, Kai Fayden doesn't hate anybody,
Yeah, exactly. I don't hate anybody. I just don't like people running their mouth and starting fights and debates and stuff. Life's too short for that.
Right. No, I would definitely share that.
If you're fighting online, you want to fight, take it in a ring.
Right, there you go. I share that sentiment. I used to be all about getting into drama and stuff on Facebook. Oh, so-and-so said this, but man, life's too short and it just raises your blood pressure, man. That's not good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. So, first and foremost, before we close out here, Kai, thank you for coming on and talking to us, giving us the inside details about, your bringing up in wrestling and how far you've come. So we definitely appreciate that, and it's been wonderful getting to talk to you. So very grateful for you coming on here and giving us that chance.
Not a problem, man. It was my pleasure, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody out there who doesn't already, go ahead and follow and like all of Kai Fayden stuff, because you're not going to want to miss it. And like he said, hopefully, we'll see. You'll only know if you follow him. Hopefully in 2020, we'll be able to see Kai Fayden in all 50 states. So,
if there's anywhere that listeners want to see me at, hit up your promoter. Tell them about me. Spread the word. If there's anywhere that promoters don't look at our videos anymore. So the only way that they're going to know is by your word of mouth. So please, anywhere that you want to see, tell your promoter. There
you go. We should start a hashtag. Just tell your promoter, because that's it's very true.
Yes. That is actually let's get on that. Let's legit make that a hashtag. Right. Wait, got a hashtag. Hashtag tell your promoter.
There you go. Hashtag tell your promoter to book Kai Fayden. But, all right, guys, you know what to do.
Yeah, 2 hashtags.
Right, 2 hashtags.
If you are looking for the best books, DVDs, and posters on classic wrestling nostalgia, then you want to visit crowbarpress.com. There are literally dozens of titles there, including biographies of the likes of Bruiser Brody, Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff, and of course, Dick the Bruiser, as we've spoke about here on the Dave Dynasty Show. You want to visit crowbarpress.com for all of your classic wrestling nostalgia needs. Again, that is crowbarpress.com. And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. This is Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us this week. Thank you to Kai Fayden for coming on and doing that interview. The guy's got a bright future ahead of him. Like I said, if you see a show he's booked on, make sure you get there and see what he has to offer, because he's a great talent, a lot of upside on him, and he's got a huge future ahead of him. Make sure wherever you listen to this, whatever platform you do, make sure you subscribe to us. And if the option is there, leave a review on iTunes, a rating review. That helps us a lot with our exposure. And then when we put this stuff out on social media, when the episodes come out, please make sure you're sharing it. Let's help network and spread the word. That's how more eyes can get on the show and help keep us growing. Like we said earlier, make sure you're supporting the show. Several means to do that to keep this free for you every day now, right? We're giving you something every day. So work with us here and help us out. Thank you for all the feedback you give us on social media. Keep that up. We greatly appreciate that. That helps us tremendously in all that we do. Make sure you get out there and support some wrestling in your area, wherever you are. And don't just sit at home or on your phone or on your computers or whatever and just rip apart and knock certain things. Get out there and find something that you enjoy and support that. Let's put your energy into that. Put your energy into supporting something that you actually can get behind. And let's do that. Let's be a little more positive out there in the world. And let's have a little fun. And, of course, let's help recognize the great history and great talent involved in the past and the present in Midwest professional wrestling. And thank you for joining us to do that. And until next week with a regular episode and every day with the On This Day special, I am Dave Dynasty. This is the Dave Dynasty Show. Thank you for joining us. And wherever you are and in everything you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.